Hey there, Wargamers, Justin here in Paint here, and today we're going to talk about the Hunchback 4P. Alright, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in again today. As always, if you like this video, make sure you check out Fortress Miniatures and Games and Monument Hobbies. All the models you see me showcasing that I painted were painted primarily with the Pro Acryl paints. Check the description down below for a link and coupons and so forth. That said, let's get into it. So for today, I want to talk about the Hunchback 4P. Now this variant, this might not actually be a 4P, it's just the one that I got because I really like Hunchbacks. And this one's got 4 barrels, and I thought, you know, maybe that's a rack something, or maybe it's, you know, 4 lasers. I don't know what it is, but I used this variant because I thought it looked really cool, and I wanted to have some variety. So if you watched my recent battle report, I actually used this guy against my friend Bob's Ghost Bears, right? So he was using Ghost Bears, and I whipped this guy out. Now, there are a variety of things you could do with very different mech lists and stats, but I kept my stat sheet for this one in particular, and I wanted to talk about him. So I've got my sheet here, and we're talking about this guy right here, the Hunchback 4P. Now, I did bring him in at pilot skill 4, and he's 31 points. One of the things that I really like about him is his damage output, right? So we've got a Thunderbolt here who costs about 16 points more, and he's got, what is that, 5, 10, 12 life or so, and this Hunchback has 9. So not much of a difference in the life department. It is substantial, but not huge. Damage output wise, 443, 8 move, 1 TMM, 540, 1 move, or 1 TMM, 8 move, right? So his size is a little smaller. It's a medium versus a heavy. But his damage output is on par with the heavy at this point, and he's a medium, and he's got a fair amount of life. So comparing him for 2 points less to the Griffin, who does have jump jets, a better TMM and movement, of course, but 233 for damage versus 540, right? And then we've got 8 life on this guy. So we have a little bit more sustainability on this guy, or staying power, and he's got some cool abilities as well, you know, with the case and direct fire LRM. But he's a little cheaper, out damages the Griffin. Now they've got different roles. Obviously the Griffin might want to jump and get to different positions and utilize that TMM. But the Hunchback, I find, is really cheap. You can utilize cover to get where you want to go, and then when you get there, I feel like his damage value is surprising. So let's slide down here one and look at a mech that is 44 points more, the Atlas. Now, the life difference between the armor and the structure compared to the Atlas and the Hunchback is no joke. But looking at that damage value, 552, with overheat, of course, 540, right? So you've got a better movement, same TMM. So your mileage out of the Hunchback is going to be very similar to the Atlas. Now this Atlas has rear 1, so it can fire backwards, right? But an indirect fire 1, which is rare that's going to be useful, right? But he doesn't have the energy ability, E&E. So what E&E allows you to do is on the crit table, if you would take an ammo explosion, he doesn't take that because he doesn't have ammo. And if he's firing at somebody who's got AMS, because he has E&E, they don't reduce his damage by 1 because he doesn't have missiles. So that's really helpful. Whereas the Atlas, if somebody shoots at him and they roll those double 1s, he takes the ammo explosion and he's gone because he's not an energy mech, right? So if you're looking at like a Locust, right? This one here, he has no special abilities. So because he doesn't have energy listed, he would go down to an ammo critical or a boxcars for the standard like headshot. Whereas again, the Hunchback with the E&E ability doesn't have ammo to explode. But he doesn't have LRM, SRM, or indirect fire, so he doesn't have to worry about AMS. But I think this is to signify that he has some type of machine gun ordnance that could explode but isn't a missile, because you have autocannon stuff, munitions, and you have your missiles and LRMs and things like that. So I really like this Hunchback. He was particularly fun in the game. I ran forward with him in the battle report. If you haven't seen it, check the channel below. Should be a playlist with all my Battletech stuff in there. But when I ran him forward, got into range 1 for that 5 dice shot, I think that caught Bob by surprise, because compared to my Atlas here, who at medium range is rolling 5, compared to the Hunchback's 4, and at short range they're both rolling 5, that Hunchback was packing a big punch, and for less than half the price. So when you're building your lists for Alpha Strike, I think it's interesting, and probably Classic too, but the stats and stuff would be different when you're looking at the mechs and that, because I feel like the stat sheets are a bit more granular. So the 4P Hunchback might be very different in Classic, so that's a caveat, I suppose. But when you're building stuff, weigh all of the options. Like one of the things I like to do, which I filmed another battle report today. I don't have all the stats and stuff in front of me to actually talk about, but it's relevant here. I used a Marauder, and there were variants of the Marauder that have higher damage stats, right? But I had to weigh the damage output and the point total of the mech compared to a cheaper Marauder with lower damage but way more structure points. I opted for the cheaper Marauder with more staying power versus the Marauder with the higher damage output, because a glass cannon that goes down, you pay the points for that higher damage value. So when I'm looking at the Hunchback and comparing it to my my Rifleman, my Griffin, my Shadowhawk, all in a similar point total here. So Shadowhawk coming in at 30, which is 1 point less than the Hunchback here. And this particular Shadowhawk actually had a chunk or a little bit extra life. It had one more structure point than the Hunchback, but his damage profile was less. And the benefit of the jump jets doesn't give you a TMM bonus because he's got weak jump jets. He's got indirect fire 0 asterisk, which means that there's a chance when he fires indirect he may or may not get a point of damage. It's a 50-50 shot. Then you go to the Rifleman, who's 6 points more. He has the same damage value, slightly less life, and he has case. So he, instead of suffering from a ammo explosion, he would just take an extra point of damage too. But you have to weigh in exactly what you want to do with your mechs. And I think for the damage output on the Hunchback, he falls into that category of he's got a decent amount of life. He's pretty affordable for what he is, and he packs a lot of firepower. He's got a good punch to him at that point level. So hopefully that gives you guys some insight into what I'm looking at when I build a list and I pick mechs. It's not always the highest damage output. It's not always the tankiest. I have to weigh those options and figure out what I want. This particular variant of the Hunchback in the, I think we were playing Clan Invasion era. Yeah, it had to be because I was playing against Ghost Bears. But this particular variant I feel checked a lot of boxes for me. Reasonable point total. Pretty ridiculous damage output and a decent amount of life to boot. So what do you guys think of the Hunchback 4P, and what other aspects and criteria do you look for when you're deciding what mech you want to field and put on the table, and what checkboxes give you the edge? You know, are you looking for cheap, lot of life, low damage? Are you looking for expensive, high life, high TMM, but expensive, high damage, low life, high TMM like clan mechs? What is it you're looking for, and what's that middle ground that you try and strive for, and what criteria help tip it in some favor or in some way for you? As always, guys, if you enjoyed this, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Sound off in the comments below, and let me know what your thoughts are on running the Hunchback 4P, or how you decide what mechs you want to pick for your lists. As always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with me for just a moment today. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you have fun doing your Battletech things. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.